Yeah, maybe possible actually if yeah, in certain scenarios, but in general you expect a rematch at least. But could be a couple of rematches coming up after this one. For now, there's the winner bracket finals. What's cool about this is that this is essentially a qualifying match, not just in the playoffs, because if you win this, you're top 2, but top 2 means you're in the playoffs, which means overall you're top 8 in the tournament. And being top 8 in the tournament means that you are guaranteed an invite into the WardiTV Summer Championship $4,000 event. So, kind of a big one as well. Obviously, Zest already qualified into that Summer Championship, so a little bit less important for him. Maybe a little bit more important for Solar, and hence Bjorn, who's also still alive and kicking in this group. That said, of course, if Zest qualifies, it means we have one more invite space. So maybe someone like Bjorn or Solar would get invited anyways, but that's not a guarantee. That's just maybe if it makes sense to help, based on which races we need and all that kind of stuff, A lot of it kind of comes down to that more so than straight up like this, more so than, oh yeah, we'll just invite them anyway. And that's why, we have this qualification system so that you can guarantee from your own performance that you'll get in rather than being like, cross my fingers and hope that Wardy needs a Zerg player or something, So yeah. First map of a best of 3. Zest looked pretty good against Armani earlier. I do feel as though the game with the cannon rush was a bit weird. And something that Armani could have done better against. But if Armani was feeling ill, then that does make sense. Yeah, otherwise, Zest had a good game, strong game with those Void Rays in general. And made a pretty good effort with them. So, we got ourselves up and rolling. This is going to come over the side and see what Zest is going to tech into. Imagining we do see a Stargate. It's a Stargate. Cool. So 0 surprises in that regard. We're going to see the Stargate as we expected. And for the moment, the game will continue on. So again, just as a quick reminder, because this might confuse a couple of people as well, we didn't call these groups, we instead called them brackets, because they are full brackets. If this was just a GSL group, the winner of this would be first place, and the winner of the next match would be second place. But we do have a grand final played today, so the winner of this match will play the winner of that lower bracket final. The winner of this match would start with a 1-0 lead in that best of 5, so that's a little bit of an advantage they get. That's just because because it is a full $200 being paid out just to the 4 players in this group. We do want to make today that just a little bit beefier, a little bit longer. As I was saying before, just 5 best of 3s nowadays can be over so quickly. I don't really like running groups that are just 5 best of 3s, which is basically a GSL style group. So even just adding that like best of 5 at the end, like the grand final, it might be a repeated match or something, but I am a big fan of it. I actually really like it. It makes it, for me, just that much better of an event to stream, basically. And obviously today we lose a best of 3 as well because Armani was ill, but that's okay. Those things happen. In general, just something to beef up the broadcast is generally good, so that's why we put out money into the group stages, specifically, and all of that good stuff. 3 drones went down. Now 5, as the first Oracle shows up and dives in for a couple of kills as well. So Zest having a pretty good start, able to clear out a bunch of workers early on. And the Oracle makes its way down to the bottom side of the map. I think our Death Shading across is going to be that single Oracle into Glaive, so it's really important that this first round of Adepts doesn't get caught off guard. And I think this first round of Adepts is to make it look more like a double Oracle, sort of just a few Adepts and teching beyond that and not into Glaives. Whereas, obviously, you don't really want to commit with these, you want to back away. You're basically trying to force Soul to overreact early and then maybe not appreciate the fact there's a lot more Adepts and actually going to be Glaives in play. Although, yeah, there's 5 more Adepts back at home, so I think that's the mind game that Zest is playing with this move out right now. Just trying to put on a bit of pressure and, like I say, maybe trick Solar a little bit. Maybe certain things that Solar would usually have to look for in these scenarios are now thrown off from what you would expect them to be, basically, right? And here come the rest of these Adepts. Solar 51 drones against Oracle Interglaves is alright. He does have 9 roaches on the way. Much more of this is about how he moves his units and how he handles this, rather than how he actually, but mostly than what he's already built. Because what he's built is right, so that's step 1. So now it's down to all the rest. The Stasis Ward's pretty cool, actually. Catches just a queen and a couple lings. Adepts are going to shade to the 3rd base, where they will find a lot of drones, and Solar is taking a beating. That's 13 workers going down already. As Ling, Queen, Roach will try and continue the onslaught onto those Adepts. They're going to cancel their shade, but 13 drones dead. Solar is hurting off the back of this, and now Zest is playing double Stargate Void Rays for stage number 2 of this build. Well, I guess stage 3. First the Oracle, then Engraved Adepts, and now double Stargate Voids. Units in the center, the Roach is going to catch a few of those Adepts again, so a few of them going down. In a way, keeping some of these Adepts alive is nice for Zest, because A, they can be a counterattack, and they can dissuade Solar from fully committing to aggression. Problem is, if Solar wants to commit to a fight right now, he's actually going to catch the Adepts. I'm going to say the problem if you commit to a fight is that there's Void Rays, but he is bringing a couple of Queens at least. With 2 Voids building at a time, I imagine that just a couple of Queens are not going to cut it. You're going to need a little bit more than that, unless you can get in and do overwhelming damage before the Voids clean up. It's possible now that those Adepts have gone down. I'd say it's a much better option for Solar than it was before. With the Adepts here, the Lings wouldn't have done anywhere near as much. Let's see what goes down. There's also just 1 Void Ray across the map, by the way, so Zest is actually missing a Void Ray from this fight before it even begins. First battery goes down pretty quickly. Solar will back it up, doesn't want to waste too much time. He wants the Biles to be back so he can bile down the next battery or 2 pretty much immediately when the fight starts. He does not want to let those get too much healing done, because he knows the moment that they start healing is the moment that this goes and becomes quite problematic. Couple more Biles, going to connect on a whole bunch of stuff. A Void Ray shot down there too. 3 Void Rays still in play though, and they are going to get rid of 1 more of the Queens. Now there were more Queens walking across the map, and they're going to be here shortly. The Super Battery has healed throughout this entire engagement. Another set of Biles, and the Void Rays this time dodge forwards. That 1 Queen needs a transfusion. It will get it. As we are targeting down the Voids, probes are pulled in as well. The corrosive Biles force the Void Rays back for just a moment, giving the Queens a bit of time where they are not taking damage. Another Bile this time connects, and Voids are still dropping out of the sky. And as Solar crashes in on the other side of the map, he is going to barrel his way through the Zest defenses, and Solar's going to turn this game into a victory, as Zest ate a few too many Biles in a game which otherwise probably was. To those, if, as I say, you are a subscriber or a Patreon supporter, basically if you support the events and make them happen, it's something we give back to you as a bit of a reward. Solar steals that game away from Zest as he takes that 1-0 lead. And bottom right, Zest, like I say, probably kicking himself a little bit, because so much of that is just keeping the Void Rays alive when in scenarios where they really could have been kept alive, right? It's not like he had to pull off some incredible micro. He just had to dodge some Biles, and again, like, the Adepts are maybe a discussion point too, but I mean, it's hard to say anything else when the Biles were just such a, a serious part of that to begin with. So yeah, fun first game, but I gotta feel like Zest is gonna be a little upset at how it all went down at the end of it all. See if Zest can bounce back. As mentioned, he's typically a very resilient player, Zest. I feel like Zest is one of these guys that I've never really noticed getting tilted. I very rarely feel as though Zest loses game number 1, and then in game number 2 he's like, oh my god. You know what I mean? He's like, he's like, he never does something silly in game 2 just because he lost the first game.
Game resumed.
And we'll resume here and see what happens as we come out of that very minor pause. I would actually like Solar to win. I would like to see Zest Bjorn, and then whoever wins that in the rematch. It's because I'm afraid that if Zest wins, and I feel like Solar plays Bjorn in the rematch, then we get Solar Zest again. I'd just like to see the Bjorn Zest series, right? That way we're guaranteed to see Bjorn Zest. I feel like that would be cool. Hell yeah, I'm finally interested in Starcraft again. What better way to come back than to watch some Wardy? Hell yeah, Mekra. Welcome back to your interest in Starcraft! Game is still great. When were you last watching? How long has it been? As our Stargate opening from Zestia will be the go-to once again. So really kind of resilient on Ghost going Stargate today. But to be fair, as he goes Stargate a lot, that's fine because he's been doing different things with the Stargate. Double Stargate, Voids, Glaives, triple, well, actual just Mass Oracle against Armani one game earlier. So he has been mixing it up a fair amount. 13 to 14 months. Been a little while then. Well, honestly, game's still doing great. Meta is still entertaining. What was happening 13, 14 months ago? I guess that was, we were starting to see more kind of Void Race stuff rather than, I think we were still in like Glaive era 13, 14 months ago. So there's more 4-gate Glaives every game in PvZ, but we see a lot more Stargates and Void Rays now. To catch you up on the PvZ meta, basically. Stargates, Void Rays, and Queen Walks. That's what goes on in this matchup, so welcome back, dude. Also awesome to see people coming back. It hasn't been a whole decade of Void Rays just yet, no. Might seem like that. To be fair, I know Void Rays are still a dominant part of this matchup, but at least there has been like a good amount of mixing up from the Void Rays as well, you know? Like, at least now Oracle builds are a thing again, you know, and some Glaive follow-ups and stuff. It feels like we have at least taken a step away from the Void Rays after they were really used like every single game for at least a month when people first figured this style out. Couple drones going down. As our initial Oracle here does well. There is going to be the +1 air weapons coming up and another Void Ray. Is that a real committed +1 air weapons? Because I don't see a second Stargate, and there's a Forge, and I just wonder if this is maybe... Okay, there's a second Stargate. I was just starting to wonder if this was some kind of a mind game, right? Where you scout the +1 air weapons as Soul, and you're like, aha, loads of Void Rays here. And then actually that ends up being cancelled or something, and it's actually just going to be like a ground army, but the second Stargate truly tells us where this is going to go. So what is interesting though, second Stargate, and again that Forge is already down. Initially I thought, well, maybe just plenty of cannons, he's going to go triple Stargate, maybe a faster fleet beacon. But then we see the Twilight Council coming up, so I wonder if we actually see maybe what we saw against Armani and Jagannatha, where Zest only went to 3 Void Rays. It was pretty committed on Void Rays, but then he hard swapped into Charge Lot and +1 and went into Archons and so on, so kind of wondering if that's perhaps a possibility in this today, as you do see this Oracle chased away through the upper side of the map. That's just building on the main base, and again the fueling's coming around as the Hydralisk Den is on its way out. Evolution Chamber coming through as well, and there go our Zerglings all the way down to the bottom side, where they're going to pick off 1 probe and make that not quite a second. But let's try to get there. So fuelings get chased away. Let's see, +1 missiles, Hydralisk speed on the way. I kind of like this from Solar, just plenty of Hydras against these Voids. I mean, Zest is still building Voids as well, so it's going to be more than 3. It is going to go up to 5 or so, at least. But he's got plenty of gates coming down with that Robo about to finish 2. And charge and +1. Are we going to add a Robo Bay and play Disruptors? That would be amazing against the Hydralisks. And that would save you from a lot of the aggressive builds that maybe Solar could use with those Hydras as well. And that's going to be finishing the natural. So fully set up into Lingbane Hydra. The triple kill on the Creep Tumors. Hulkle comes back along. We are just going to be dropping in a Revelation. Just cleaning out a couple more Creep Tumors again. And we turn back up this direction where I'm sure we would Revelate again if it was off cooldown. Now it is. Going to drop it on the army. And that Oracle is just going to acrobatics its way out of there with 1 HP. I thought turning around to Revelate was going to be like... I feel like the turnaround Revelation was like, oh crap, Oracle's about to die, let's just Revelate. And then it got away anyway, and I was like, oh wow. The 1 HP getaway. Zel's just sat beneath that prism. Hydra, Bane, Queen. Moving across, this is going to be the big time that Solo is building up to, and this is why the Disruptors are going to become essential. And this is why you need those Disruptors to help defensively. If they can connect, it shuts this down so well. Queens, not going to be able to dodge those Disruptor shots very easily in the slightest, as the first feelings and Bane's going forward. Disruptor shot already used to try and scare this away. He hits his own Archon with the Disruptor, though. There are going to be Zealots across the map. We'll check in on that in the moment, but I think this fight is going to be the most important one to tell us about how this game will go. Arana's Zealots just warped in, but the Disruptors are dead. I mean, 28 drones dead across the map. The Zealots are working wonders over there. Zest still just needs to clean out these Hydras, though, for that working kill count across the map to really become important. Solar, I think, actually just had nothing to defend with, and that is he's still even just rallying units across the map. But going up this ramp is going to be very difficult. Disruptor shot clips 1 Hydra, and now Solar's going to make the dive up the ramp. So the thing is, there's still 2 Disruptors out, but there's only 1 Robo facility. He's now going to build an Immortal. This Disruptor shot is ready to go. That one's going to connect. It's going to connect big time. Dead center on the Hydralisks. And Solar does not respond to that in quickly enough. 51 drones dead across the map, and I think the 51 dead drones are going to be the reason that Zest actually wins the game. So yeah, the big fight was important, but those Zealots actually just did beyond expected amounts of damage. I mean, Solar was meant to have something at some point to deal with that, but he just didn't. And he really put everything on winning this game across on this side, and with proper reinforcements, he probably would have done. But he did not have proper reinforcements here, and Zest takes game 2, tying it up 1-0. Welcome back to game 3 of this winner bracket match, as we do have in the top right-hand side, the pink Protoss player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming is Zest. Does anyone even know what happens with Zest in the military? Like, when is he actually going to go to the military? I would really love to know. Seems like he's just never going at this rate. As in the bottom left, we do have our Blue Zerg. It is Kazi Gaming's Solar. What was the name of the song just playing? It was Nothing by Orician. Orician. That was a pretty good song, wasn't it? I'm actually going to go and quickly give it a thumbs up and add it to the stream playlist. I like that. Bottom left, Blue Zerg Solar has to take his hatchery on the 3rd location, as we so often see in this matchup, as in the upper right, our pink Protoss is Zest. I feel like I already did the intros, but let's do them again after I mess around with the music a little bit. Just gonna have our Overlord coming across to Have a bit of an investigation as to what's going on. And next coming through as we get this underway. And a Stargate building in the main base from Zest. Just getting that up and running. Our Zergling speed is building. Yeah, I like the Stargate again. Stargate just going to be done in a moment or so. Link speed's about halfway done. Just going to see that Void Ray coming out from Zest. And just going to be coming on up. So, bit of building here, bit of setting up. I still kind of cheering for Solar. I kind of want to see Beyond Zest in that lower match. I mean, a Beyond Solar rematch would be cool too. I'd just like to see the match we haven't already seen today, you know? That would be my preference if I'm allowed one. Been some fun games. It feels like Zest obviously was in a great position at game 1, but Solar's able to bust through. Game 2, Solar's bust was actually looking great, but just didn't have an answer at all to the Zealots. And there was a lot of Zealots across the map. Maybe part of the reason why the army at home was so undefended. And that went in Zest's favor as well, as he was eventually able to slow that attack down. Void Ray moving around, just going to see the +1 air weapons coming up on the Cybernetics core. Just going to see our first couple of drones going down as our Oracle makes its first appearance in dazzling style across the map. 2 drones fall victim to the Oracle's rampage. And it will just chill with the Void Rays behind it. And again, just super fast +1 air weapons. I mean, is this the same build as last time? Forge and then the second Stargate? Yes, it is. So that's just going to go for a bit of a repeat on the build order. Believing in what he's been up to for the moment. Nexus into battery, going to be coming on through there as again, second Stargate will be finishing shortly. What does Solar want to do on 2000 atmospheres about this? Roach Roaring, so initially seems to be like something Roach focused. Maybe some Roach Queen aggression. If it's aggression, you could maybe play a bit of a longer game too, as uh-oh. That Oracle just zipped in and picked up 5 drone kills. So 5 drones going down. Oracle finds itself having a pretty good time. Now going to sit down in the bottom corner and hide away. Once again, plenty of voids continuing up. The Spire coming down on the 3rd base. And those fuelings are just going to be nibbling their way through the rocks, so yeah, just a few rocks being nibbled. Spire, Roach speed, all of this coming through. The standard, the usual, the normal. All of these things that we are more or less expecting. Fuelings game for a bit of a appearance down over here. Just gonna nibble the rocks as well. Really just wanted to open the map, of course. Zerg just love that mobility around, being able to move through any of the attack paths, right? Really goes a long, long way for Zerg players, and that's what we're seeing really be prioritized by those rocks being the targets. Uncle drops a revelation down. Fleet Beacon is on its way through. The gate's still on the way in. And the Void's over here going to pick away the rest of these creep teamers as well. So quite a few of the creep teamers starting to fall. we've just got the carriers continuing through from Zest, and otherwise a few more mutas coming up, a couple of corruptors on the way, plus one melee upgrade on the way too. So with the Spire played initially, he plays mutas and straight to corruptors beyond it. Let's see if Solar can make this work. I mean, as carriers already on the way up, you kind of do want to be built into corruptors, so it's not the wrong idea. Again, just another example of how Zest can take a very similar setup and really make it something really, very, very different. And that's what we've been seeing all the way throughout all of his PvZ today, more or less. Mutas show up and they will get rid of a few probes. So 5 Rogues going down. The rest of these Stalkers are going to warp in and just, with the Void Rays, turn those mutas away. The couple carriers coming in too, and mutas will take some damage. Spire, the Viper on the way through. I mean, obviously a 10 probes kill, that's nice, but this Oracle, 13 kills. So this one Oracle has been just as effective as all of the mutas that were made, and more so. And obviously it's been killing those workers since early in the game too, so it's been able to get a lot done. Flux Veins will Chrono Boost, as we obviously want to speed up those Void Rays a little bit right now. A few Stalkers up on the top side, the Lings coming around the bottom. Wanderers, well, we're going to go Storm as well, so it's kind of gone, fast into carries, but then still building into the ground army beyond this. I actually kind of like that we're seeing a Greater Spire, because I think this is one of those scenarios where maybe Brood Lords can have a role in the game. If they arrive early enough and you can still get enough anti-air to make it so the Voids just don't insta-kill the Broods. Well, I feel like there's a good amount of potential there, as our Zerglings aren't going to go on their run up toward the top. Kind of surrounding this Cybercore. Killing the Cybercore means no Stalkers can warp in at least, so it does take away a bit of the potential Mutalisk defense, although... Well, it takes away that, but it also takes away, just in case Blink was on the way, maybe the ability to build Stalkers to blink on underneath those Broodlords, right? All of those Broodlords on the way in here. And while Solar hasn't had a good game in terms of taking so much damage from the Oracle, being able to stabilize right now might put him right back on track. Let's turn back around that left side. You see Void Rays and Carriers, Immortals too, making their way out down the bottom side. Tide Templar coming down as well. This poor Oracle has been an absolute hero, and it will go down a hero too. Bringing these mutas as far away from anywhere useful as they could possibly be. Oh my god. No! He turned the corner! He's still running! There's Lings over here. I'm more invested in this Oracle, I'm not gonna lie. He flies past the Space Shock. He's regenerating shields. The Corruptor cuts him off! No! 1 HP! He really lasted as long as he possibly could. That Oracle went... He went on like... I mean, you could have written a whole movie about this Oracle, honestly. He was the star of the show for the last half a minute there. I can't believe a Corruptor cut him off, because the mutas just couldn't quite catch him. Alright, well, I mean, obviously, if I know movies, he might get brought back for season 2 or for the sequel. Solar vs. Zest Part 2, Revenge of the Oracle. Something like that. I'll just go down to the bottom right. Zergling's going to hang around on the watchtower. And your Spores just going to be pressing forward to begin with, as we are going to be having our carriers still making a play. Let's see, we do have Soul and a pretty good army to fight this at this stage. I love that catch with the fungal and the Voids recalled out of there, knowing they were kind of caught in the fungal growth. So Corruptors made that dive and were able to get a kill or so, and that's what this game's going to turn into. A lot of the positional warfare of PvZ. Robobay and a Dark Shrine building from Zest. He will also start charge, probably wants to get some Zealots up for harassment purposes, as he killed off his Stalkers. More High Templar, those Archons have an important role to play, of course. I was going to see the Dark Shrine finishing the charge, continuing through, and just going to see our +3 melee upgrade, Kindness plane, and +3 Carapace all on the way. Vipers get feedbacked. I don't know what they were looking for here. I don't think he was really quite aware of exactly where that army was, because he felt like he was caught a bit off guard by everything showing up.
Game paused.
So I'm going to drop a quick pause, just as the Zerglings are about to sacrifice themselves. A moment of discussion. His Infestor stuck? Alright, I'm gonna have to check that out when we come out of game.
Game resumed.
So he's got an Infestor stuck somewhere? Oh! What? How did they get there? Oh. Does he walled them in? Oh. Maybe it wasn't so crazy anyway. Huh. Okay. I was gonna say maybe he could abduct them out, but then he just cancelled whatever was down there and they just walked out, so yeah. Okay. Single meter comes in, just gonna see this army coming through. A few of these crypt tumors already going down. Do you feel like Zest's army is looking pretty good? I mean, at the same time, Solar's bank is reasonable. It's a large map, so you get a lot of bases on this map, and you've got a Spore Crawler forest to deal with or play with as well. A bit of Ling Ultra coming through. Ultra is going to be good for harassing and just for run-bys like this one. Just add a bit more beef than what a few Zerglings would have. Does go quite a long way. 10 probes going down. This turned into something pretty serious. This 1 meter is still killing the Dark Shrine, by the way. We'll have to keep something of an eye on that. Zest is going to straight up lose this base. So this will actually go down. DT is warped in, but the Ultra is going to help to kill those off, and that's a big waste of money for Zest. He's got his main army down on the south side, though, so this is making a play. Taking down a hatchery already, moving through for some spores and a couple of creep tumors. So coming all the way through this, and well, here we go. I mean, this is basically the big fight, as Zest doesn't have a lot of rebuild potential off this because he's missing a lot of gas, so he can rebuild a little bit, but nothing too major. Corruptors are really just fighting interceptors. They should be target firing down specific carriers, typically. I feel like that's a missed opportunity. He's still fighting interceptors. I feel like so many of these carriers alone, if the Corruptors had just target fired, they probably could have had at least 2 or 3 more kills, because there's a lot of time they kind of, in my eyes, wasted there. There's attack of Zest continues through. The Mutalisk killed the Dark Shrine, by the way. So the Dark Shrine dies to a single Mutalisk. Corruptors get caught in a time warp, and that's not where they want to be. Solar will continue to lose the bottom side of the map. He's rebuilding a lot of Ultras. The air army is not as strong as it once was. I just can't believe those Corruptors were not targeting the carriers, as in we go. Trying to use the Overseers to tank a little bit. The Corruptors again wasting some time on Interceptors. The Ultras have work to do here. Solar is going to go for the mothership, and he will get that. If Fungal goes down as well, as he'll pin off the last couple of carriers. He gets the full cleanup on carries in the end, and now the question is, can he fight the ground army? Immortal, Archon, Stalker, actually pretty reasonable against Ultras. Zest has so much money to spend that he's just not spent yet. Is Solar going to find a couple of voids in the middle of the map? They're going to activate Prismatic Alignment, and honestly, they're going to do very well, because some of those Corruptors were very low HP too. Solar commits on forward, but he just does not have what he needs to fight this. And Zest, again, still the one with the bank. Solar lost and already had to rebuild so much. You can see he lost a fair amount, rebuild a bit. The problem is these Ultras just not going to do well enough. I mean, what's the ground army left at? It's 20 Zealots, 3 Immortals. 3 Voids in the game, only 4 Corruptors up. New Voids building those, so you're going to need Corruptors once again, probably. I really feel like in the first fight, Solar missed a bit of target firing that could have just helped him so much. Zest, and you gotta remember what Zest is rebuilding is very Zealot heavy. And while Zealots can be good, having this many Zealots can also be something that is difficult to utilize properly. So, when you consider what Zest has compared to what he had a few minutes ago, like, you know, all of these Zealots are just nowhere near as good as all the Archons and Carriers. So that is something to remember. The Changelings that can run past the Zealots here is... well, I mean, there's just so many Zealots. How do you fight this? I mean, Ultras, 2 of them on their own, though, they don't really want to get surrounded. And there's just a massive Zealots all over the place. Ultras are going to continue to gather in the bottom right-hand corner. The rest of this army continues to move through. Just going to be seeing these Lings, Ultras moving forward. Here come the Infestors. They're going to start dropping Neurals on some of the Voids. A Parasitic Bomb going down as well. Can the Ultras do well enough against the Zealots? I don't think so, as the Zealots... actually, well, the Zealots are going to go down, but then this Archon Immortal Force is kind of the issue, is the Infestors have all been targeted down as well. The Ultras are doing well, actually. It's just the Void Rays are unkillable, and the Infestors are all gone, and that was a massive loss for Solar. A massive investment he just will never get back, right? You'll start to build for more. Zest has money in the bank, though, 1,500 minerals of it, and GG will be called. Zest will go to the Grand Final. We will initially start off with a rematch of Solar versus Björn in the lower final.